Greetings and welcome to Old Drunken Discography. We are talking Tomahawk. This is the fifth video in this series. Click the playlist link down below to watch them all. I'm assuming if you're watching the fifth one, you know what's going on, and if not, go back and check out the first one. I'm Jason. With me is Tim.
What's a happening?
And Bill.
Dog eat dog.
And we're talking
Yeah.
Tonic Immobility by Tomahawk. This was Tim's pick. Next week's my pick, Sloppy Seconds. Last week was Creed. 1990s album of the decade series going on. New reviews. We spend too much time getting drunk and recording videos. So,
But not enough time.
but not enough time.
Which is why we still got to keep doing it.
Yep.
That's right.
We need those subscribers. That's shit. Yeah, like and subscribe. Help us out. Help us drink more and give you more content. All right, I can go first on this one.
Oh, you know what? I gotta pause. Hold on. I'm sorry. Pause.
Editor's note. Maybe we leave all this in. It depends on what he says when he gets back. If he says some bad shit, Patreon content. We have a Patreon. You get extra cutscenes like this, maybe.
I forgot I had to fucking charge my phone here. It's about to crap out.
Okay.
There we go. Sorry.
Can we unpause?
Yes.
Oh, thank God.
All right. I can start this one off. Shh. Best opening track in the discography. Despite the song name, you need to crank this one. Valentine Shine, sifting through the golden trash, ain't got no pocket cash. When people say Mike Patton is the best vocalist ever, see Exhibit 573, Valentine Shine by Tomahawk. Predators and Scavengers, track 3, and the energy is still high. I love the strumming on the guitar. Cool as shit. Track 4, spoke too soon about the energy. That always happens to me. Either way, it's okay for a track 4 to slow it down a little. This one's fine. It's my low point for sure, though. Business Casual, Patton continues to impress with his range and delivery. Great lyrics. Tattoo Zero, I was about to write this one off as a meh, but holy shit, it gets crazy. Whiskey! It's in my notes. Fatback, hoping Tim can explain the meaning behind this one. I loved it. Had a really cool groove to it, but need some explanation on those lyrics. Howley, like a lot of these songs, takes a bit to get going, but once it does, it goes nuts. Eureka, on its own, it was meh, but coming right before Sidewinder, it worked. Sidewinder, top song contender, felt like California Bungle. Fantastic lyrics. Favorite line is, remember, boss, remember, the world go round for the both of us. Recoil, another late album top song contender. Dog Eat Dog. Okay, new best closing track in the discography. Simple, yet effective.
I I suppose I can follow that up here, then let Tim close us down after.
Sure.
So, for shh, I like the vocals. That being said, the vocals are just like the title. Quieter than repetitive a little bit, but it still works out. Valentine Shine, a lot of noise going on, but there's also a lot of energy coming out of it too, so it kind of works. Predators and Scavengers was a fast paced. I like the instruments. The vocals lost me a little bit on it. Doomsday Fatigue, thought it was cool that the song kind of fell off. Like it was started off Doomsday and then just kind of fatigued out like the title. I thought that actually was really cool how they did that. Don't know if it's intentional or not. That's what I looked at. business casual, pseudo rapping type stuff going on, not for me. Um, Tattoo Zero, Tattoo Zero. Why the left turn this song? It wasn't good before, and it's not good now. Um, Fatback. I thought it had a solid guitar in it. Solid guitar solo in it. There we go. Word hard. Um, Howley, I thought had a really cool start. I really like the rhythm going on again in it. Um, the howling at the end. At first, I didn't like it. It kind of grew on me though. Eureka. All right, we got some chanting, whining wind type sound effects going on between the instruments and vocals. Um, yeah, not a huge fan of that part of it. But then we get Sidewinder, which starts off with slow paced and really pretty singing, and then switched halfway through to just slap you in the face.
California Bungle.
Recoil. Oh, and that was a good slap, by the way. Recoil had
California
really cool
Bungle.
vocals going on. Almost, it reminded me of kind of like that Sublime type feel, like just like the syncopation and everything going on with it. You guys might know someone that's did it first beforehand. That would be a better analogy, but that's just who's coming to my mind. And then Dog Eat Dog. I wish it was the other one, but as a closer, it was all right.
All right.
Okay,
Tim,
so
wrap us up.
yeah, so this came out in 2021, which makes it 8 years after the last album. So at this point, like any new Tomahawk is welcome Tomahawk. And then, yeah, I don't know if you guys remember 2021, but there was kind of like a world pandemic thing going on, and and so the music on this album was actually recorded after the tour for Oddfellows. So all the music was done in like 13, 14. And it took Patton 8 years to get around to the tracks while he was
Wow.
in lockdown. And so the music is almost a decade earlier than the lyrics, and the lyrics are very pandemic centric. Um, which, if you look at Patton's career at that point, like the only other albums he had out at that time were the Corpse Flower with Jean Claude Van Nier, which is very like Tom Waitsy kind of stuff, and then the Bungle reunion album, the Raging Wrath of the Easter Bunny demo, which I know he went into that project as like I'm just the singer, and so I know he approached this album much that same way, where like the previous Tomahawk albums, Dwayne would give him a riff, and like maybe him and John had made some sort of arrangement, but Patton would kind of like shape it into shape. Where this one, he just went in and was like, no, I'm just the singer. Whatever you guys got, like, I mean, these songs are already 8 years old or whatever. Let me just sing on them. And with that being said, like, yeah, man, that's classic Tomahawk, man. This thing rips. This fits well into the discography. Um, I don't know if it's my favorite opening track. I think I'm gonna still save that for what Bird Song, but this one's a damn good one. And then yeah, Valentine Shine is just classic Tomahawk. It's classic Patton. It's the one thing Tomahawk has done their entire career is no matter what year their albums are released, they're gonna challenge you. And as for a rock song in 2021, Valentine Shine? Come on, it's too good. The same with Predators and Scavengers. Like, it rips. Kind of reminds me like if Anonymous met the self-titled album. It's kind of got that vibe. Like it's very much in their wheelhouse, but it's moving it forward. And the guitar part on that song rules. Doomsday Fatigue. Obviously, the title is a a COVID reference. The song itself kind of reminds me of if David Lynch was on their self-titled album and they were doing like Ennio Morricone Western songs. Um, and it also kind of reminds me of if you remember the last Faith No More album, Sol Invictus. It's very much got that first half of Cone of Shame vibe, which I love. So I'm all about Doomsday Fatigue. The lyrics are like they hit home, and then musically it kind of ends up like in an Oddfellows place. Like it just feels like the quintessential Tomahawk song. Like it's really good. Business Casual was the first single from this album, which it's interesting that like that's the one Bill's like, nope. Because yeah, this is
Amazing
how they introduced
lyrics.
it.
Great lyrics on that
Yeah,
one.
and the bass, like the bass on that song is like, um, so like yeah, this is the second album with Trevor Dunn on bass. They recorded these songs after the tour for Oddfellows. So musically, it really sounds like they're in a really good place. They're all really gelling. Like they like these songs aren't complete, but we've got these parts, and they all rip, and they sound really good. The recordings are crystal clear. Tattoo Zero, like my favorite lyric is watching those honeys twerk while all the hobos jerk. Um, like this is just classic Patton stuff. Um, there's a couple screams he does throughout the song that are just classic Patton screams. Um, classic Tomahawk. Like that's a great song. Fatback reminds me a lot of Flashback, all the way back to the first album, and that's one thing I'll give this album as a whole. Is it really it feels like after 20 years, not necessarily that they're giving into nostalgia and trying to repeat themselves, but that they're very familiar and comfortable with what this band is supposed to sound like.
I would compare it
I,
to Blink 182's One More Time as to what it does, or even Creed's Full Circle. It's a good representation of the band after so many years type situation.
sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, I can't help you with the lyrics. This is, I mean, obviously being the newest one, here we are almost 2025. And I've been busy, so I haven't had enough time with this album. But every time I put it on, I love it. Which takes us to Howie. I mean, it's a banger. Patton sounds amazing throughout. Like the stuff he's doing is just crazy. And like Bill mentioned, like when he just starts howling at the end, it's so abrupt and unexpected and good. Like I love it. Um, and then Eureka, like yeah, it's a little like interlude type track. Obviously, Patton and Dunn are both from Eureka, California, and this album was done in the middle of a Mr. Bungle reunion where they're revisiting their high school years spent at Eureka. A lot of history there, but as a track, it's whatever. But it does take us into Sidewinder, which is probably my favorite song on this album. Um, it's so beautiful. It's so poignant. It's stretch it out, man. Stretch it out and like get back to life. It worked very well for the pandemic. It worked very well for me. Yeah, I love that song. Top song contender.
No, it's not.
Re- Say it again.
No, it's not.
Okay. Okay. Uh,
Watch Kim's
Recoil.
all our songs.
I mean, there's so many here. There's so many here. Uh, Recoil, I'm going to say, is the low point on the album for me. And I'm not sure if that's because it follows Sidewinder or if it sounds like what the Red Hot Chili Peppers should sound like in the 21st century.
I mean, there is some patent Chili Peppers history there.
Here's an example where maybe Patton's doing it better. Um, and then yeah, Dog Eat Dog was the second single before the album was released.
That was a single.
That was the single. That was a get hyped. This album's about to come out.
Mm.
I mean, I'd be hyped after hearing Dog Eat Dog.
I mean, when he says that barking at you line, barking at you, I love it. It's so good.
That's top song.
Yeah, I
contender.
love Dog Eat Dog. I think that's a classic song, man. Classic song. And um, here we are at the end of the discography. It is almost 2025, and they've announced their first show since what, 2013, 2012. So it's been almost 10 years. They're coming back. Hopefully, another album's in place, but at the very least, I hope they play some of these songs because as it was released in the pandemic, there was no tour for this album. I would love to hear some of these songs performed live. This is classic Tomahawk stuff. This is a great album. And when we get around to the meat grinder for the decade we're in currently, this is making the list.
Who has to guess? Bill.
Some bomb. Oh boy. I'm gonna just spitball out here. I think Tim is gonna put this one at number 4, partly because he hasn't had as much time with it, so he hasn't built as good of a rapport with it.
Ooh.
I mean, I'm okay with that. I've been going back and forth with that. Like, is it like where does this stand in place with Oddfellows?
So that's
And
because it was 0 before or 3, and I'm guessing just because you haven't had as much time with it, you're gonna stick it at 4.
and I'll agree with that with the caveat that yeah, it could go up because this album's great.
Your color code's gonna tell a lot more than mine will.
Sure.
Because you're a fan of Tomahawk. Let's see, Jason. I think this one's gonna go up to your number 2. I don't think it beats out Oddfellows.
Now, see, here is the same dilemma. I swear to God, we aren't a scripted show. But I've had the same amount of time with all of these records. So keep that in mind.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Fresh.
for me, Tonic beat Oddfellows. This was my favorite one. This album was it just it's the best one.
Patton sounds so good on it too, and the instruments sound good. Everything like there's nothing wrong with this
I
album.
mean, Sidewinder alone, like, could carry this record.
Okay, and then for me, I have it below Oddfellows still, so it's my number 2.
We finally deviated. We got the same bot through 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, you guys flipped on the last two, and I'm the odd one out because I like the old school stuff most.
Which makes sense.
Hashtag nostalgia.
Yep.
Yep. It's a hell of a drug. Now for the color code. I've got to remember my color code because my printer is out of ink, so all I have is
Shades of gray.
4 of them have no color, and 1 of them is pink. So, I think
So one's Ramon's gold, huh?
No. No, I know which my color. I know what my colors are.
You know what? I'll start so that way everyone has to stay tuned to see what an actual Tomahawk fan does at the end.
Okay.
So for me, with 1 week to do it, I'm gonna start with red. I mean, part of it is because I probably just haven't had enough time. But I'm gonna be red for Anonymous and for their self-titled.
Ooh, that gets a slap.
Ooh.
That just straight gets a slap.
I just
That gets a slap for God Hates a Coward in Laredo.
Am I going to have to make a special slap, or you just get a normal regular
He
slap?
just gets a normal slap for that one.
You don't want
Can't
like a
get red
tomahawk
on
slap, like a teeth under
the
for Killer
tomahawk
Instinct.
chop. Give him the old oh.
Oh, we're gonna get canceled.
yeah. And then it's gonna be yellow.
All right.
It's gonna be yellow for Gitmas or Mitgas. And I'm also gonna give yellow to Tonic. Because I don't, and here's the reason for my color coding. That's to be green for Oddfellows. I can't see myself at all going back to Anonymous or the self-titled. I can see myself going back to Mitgas and Tonic to listen for some other stuff. Oddfellows, I could see myself picking up and listening. For me.
All right.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah.
I am also gonna start with red. And I'm gonna agree that Anonymous is red. This is not what I wanted to hear, and I don't think it's a good starting place. Then I'm gonna go caution. I'm not going red for the first one. I'm gonna say
You're scared of that slap.
because I don't think it's not a must hear. And then I could kind of go caution on the next one too. But the last two, I think this band is getting better and better. Besides the weird Anonymous, like each album has gotten better and better. So my last two are greens. Tim, what's your color code?
I mean, I'm all green. It's all green. And I've been debating whether if any of this actually touches Ramon's Gold. And no, I don't think it does. It's not quite Ramon's Gold.
The highest
This is
ranked is
all.
Oddfellows.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a solid album. That's a great album. Um, but I think all these are. And yeah, I can understand where upon first listen, Anonymous is like, that's not for me. But it definitely grows. Um,
Yeah, it's not bad. Like it's good musically, it's produced well. It's just not a rock album. Like it's not a if you're going to
no,
like
no,
it's a different vibe. It's not a bad vibe, it's just different. So,
sure. Which in the middle of the 2000s is what I wanted, as opposed to like, oh, okay, here's American Idiot, or we're just taking the hardcore formula and doing it again.
yeah, but that hardcore formula is better than
It's solid, it works, but this is a discography that's wanting to challenge not only the band as performers, but the listener.
I'd have
Like,
to
you're not going to get what you expect.
We need to redo Faith No More. I want to go back and redo Faith No More. Because right now
I'm in.
my patent train would be Bungle,
Faith No More and
Tomahawk,
Tomahawk.
and then to Faith No More. I'm pretty. I don't know if I like Faith No More better than Tomahawk. That's why I want to go back and revisit those.
I'm in.
I mean, it was a good discography. Like, there's no. We've had way, way worse discographies. I don't want to say which ones, but sort us by playlist link channel, and you can just kind of pick them out. But yeah, I mean, it was a good discography. Nice, quick, short.
I mean, right? It's better than No Doubt.
Yeah, it's better than No Doubt. I don't know. Nostalgia's a hell of a drug, man. Walking into the
nostalgia is a
spiderwebs.
hell of a drug on that one.
Just a girl.
Well, this is my nostalgia. This is how I spent the decade. It was listening to, experimental, push the envelope rock music, and
Oh yeah.
we'll get to the meat grinder for the decade. And I know if you go back and watch our Queens of the Stone Age series, I mentioned how they were kind of like the cream of the crop for me for that decade. But this is absolutely up there too. This is much like Queens of the Stone Age, the best
I
of
could
the
see them
90s
getting.
grunge.
They could get some votes in the grinder. I mean, Oddfellows.
Yeah.
What year was that?
13,
Yeah,
12.
it could get some votes
Yeah.
because that's a rough year. Like
2010s is a rough decade when you really look at it as a whole.
you're gonna see. I don't know if anybody watching this watches our 1990s album of the decade. I highly recommend it. You get like a background of where each one of us come from. And I think when the 2000s
And where we're going, if you're paying attention.
Yeah, we're going to do the 2000s afterwards, and I think Tim and I are really going to divulge our list even further than the 90s. Whereas, and Bill, I think he's going to divulge as well. So.
I think you and I, Jason, are going to start to have a little bit more overlap in the 2000s.
I don't think so. There's not a whole lot I like mainstream in the 2000s. Besides MCR and Green Day, there's not a whole lot out there. Well, they weren't really mainstream, though.
Yeah, but that's probably going to be a couple in my grinder.
Oh, they'll get a triple buy then. 'Cause Joe and I going to have them. But my 2000s is going to be heavily involved with Fat Records. Like Fat Records was doing some great shit. And Tim's going to be.
And here I am with Ipecac. Yeah.
So
yeah.
Ipecac. It's going to be good. Stick around for that. Like and subscribe. Our top songs is next. It's going to be pretty brutal because we've overlapped quite a lot. So there's going to be some thievery going on here. So, oh shit. As always, be safe and make good decisions. Unicorns and troll cars, blank checks and color cards.
And then you go a little woo, and then a little whoop, 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 and then it's all, and then you're ready to go again.